I'm Ivy, I'm 22 years old, and I've been in foster care since I was 7.
So, Ivy, what was your experience of care like?
So my experience with care was actually quite a lucky one, in the fact that I only got put into 2 placements before I went into supported lodgings, where I know other people can be put in multiple throughout a year.
How did you end up there at 7 years old?
So I ended up in care because my mum was both taking drugs and alcohol, so there was neglect of my needs. But luckily she's all better now, I must say. But the fact that she used to also drink and take drugs at the same time, so sometimes she'd get a bit violent and a bit scary to a 7-year-old. But I have generally been involved in social care since I was about 6 months old because of both my mum and my father's mental health issues as well. So I've been known foster care or social work through pretty much my whole life.
Okay, so you're well versed in what goes on.
Yeah, very much so.
What was that experience like when you were 7 years old? How did it affect you, do you think?
I don't think it ever affected me as much as it can do to other people. It was quite it is a scary time when you do get put into care. So with my story, my mum OD'd on something, and so the police and the ambulance came first. They were checking out my mum, making sure she was okay. And at that point, obviously, 7-year-old, very scary situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
But luckily, then my social worker came around as soon as she possibly could, and took me to school because it was a school day. I was a bit worried throughout the day, but I still went to class because I loved school. Still kind of love school now. And then at the end of the day, I was sitting in the office, not knowing what was going on because I didn't know whether I was going home or where I'd be going. So my social worker picked me up again and said that I was going to live with a family that only had a woman and a man in it, and had a cat, and I loved cats. One thing I do remember quite vividly is going in the car to that foster place and thinking, am I going to have to call them Miss and Sir? And was I allowed to eat anything? Would I have my own bedroom and things like that? But when I got there, they actually introduced themselves to me, and obviously, but I actually only had my school uniform and things that were in my school bag at the time, so I had nothing to sleep in. So my foster mum at the time actually gave me one of her nighties for the night. And to me, that was the really sweetest thing that anyone had pretty much ever done. I mean, yes, it literally looked like the old-fashioned Victorian nightgowns. It was so long on me, but at least I had something to sleep in for the night. And actually, the next day after she dropped me off at school, she actually went out and brought me a whole new wardrobe full of clothes. Now, to me, again, that was almost like Christmas, because I had actually never had brand new clothes. I would always have hand-me-downs from my stepsister. Yeah.
So it was a nice experience. Once you got over that.
It was a lovely experience. Yeah. Once I knew where I was going, who I was going to be staying with, and I was with them in the end for just over 1.5 years. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like it's a really positive experience.
Yeah.
So from there, you moved. You moved into a different care setting?
I moved. So that was a short-term placement, and I got moved into a long-term placement, and I was there from 11 to about, I think, 17 almost.
Well, that's quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a very, very long time.
So did you leave care then at 17?
I was put into this thing called supported lodgings.
Right.
Where it's almost like foster care, but you start trying to do stuff for yourself a bit more. So you have to try and start cooking for yourself, cleaning for yourself, kind of just helping you get into the mindset of potentially having your own place in the future, so you can look after it properly. Yeah.
And how was that for you?
That was lovely, yeah. I was placed with this lovely woman, with a cat, funny enough. All my placements...
Bit of a theme.
Yeah, all my placements had cats. So I think I was with her just under 2 years, because I went off to uni.
Lovely, that's very good.
but I left because I didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
Which is completely fine.
Lots of people do.
Yeah.
Lots of people do. Brilliant. So all of that, and you still got into university and continued. So what are you up to now?
So right now I'm actually back in education, doing Access into Science course. So I can go and do zoology at uni again. But doing something I think I'm probably a bit more passionate about.
How do you think your care experience has shaped the person that you are now?
I think it's kind of shaped me because I, at the moment, want to try and do as much as I can to improve the lives of people who are in care, who are then going to become care leavers once they turn 18, to kind of have a better life than I possibly did, if that's like improving the amount of how many changes they have in PAs or anything like that, really, because every time you lose someone that you potentially trust, it can be a bit but yeah, and I think it's also helped shape me in the fact of that I'm like very generous. I like giving back to people quite a lot, and I am very thankful, like in my day-to-day life, that I've got these things, and I've had opportunities I wouldn't have had at home. For example, I went on my first plane, so my first holiday abroad with some foster carers. I went to see my first musical, which actually brought the love of musical theatre into my life. And actually, quite luckily, there was someone in the council who'd won a year scholarship to Stagecoach as well, which is a theatre school. Luckily, my social worker at the time as well kind of messaged them saying, I've got a perfect young person for this. And I managed to get it. And because I kind of went every week and I did my hardest, the principal at the time actually gave me a scholarship for the next year.
So what about the support that you got from the council? So with your social worker and other people, what's that been like?
It's been very, very crazy, especially when I was more in care as well. I had tons of social workers. I can't even remember how many social workers I had. Or pathway advisors or something like that. I should know that.
So should I. That's all right.
We just call them. I've had quite a lot of PAs.
And yet you've obviously you're a bit involved now, giving back, aren't you, with some of the work that you're doing in the council. So in terms of since you've left care, do you think that support's been good? Have you feel happy being able to get as involved as you are? I
think I have, yeah, but I have to kind of give the credit to the participation team because I do a lot of stuff with them. I was part of CLIC when it was just Bournemouth and BCP was separated. Then it's now Insight, now that it's merged together. And through that, I've managed to do volunteering with a group in a project called Wakey Wakey Project, where a group of young people got together and put on a performance of what it's like to actually enter care, which was amazing. And they managed to do that in 3 days and perform it on the 4th, which is it was incredible to watch. I've also been involved in volunteering for Unite, which is the Child in Care Council, our younger people as an Insight member. And I've also been involved in training, I've been involved in interviews. So I think the highest position I actually interviewed for was actually the Director of Children's Services. Brilliant. Which is huge.
And you're involved in the corporate parenting board?
I'm involved in the corporate parenting board, so I'm the co-chair for it. So, which is quite a high up position.
Well, with Councillor Burton, absolutely.
With Councillor Burton, yeah.
And were you involved in the 333 as well?
Yep. So I was right at the start. Was one of the young people that actually wanted something like 333. So we kind of sat down and we said we want a space for care leavers where we can have a shower, we can wash our clothes, we could cook food, learn how to cook food, have workshops on sewing, budgeting, goodness knows what else.
Whatever you needed, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much whatever we needed. And actually to see the building that's there now is actually incredible. They do have food there, so if you do get a bit hungry, you can ask for food. They give you tea, coffee, hot chocolate.
Fab.
So
that's a really good place. You know, it's safe and secure, isn't it? It's your own place.
It's very safe, and it's quite nice to think that there is somewhere to go where if you don't necessarily want to talk to a PA, you can potentially also go there to talk to some, like a peer, so peer-to-peer support as well, which is lovely.
That's really helpful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So on that, what advice would you give to other young people who are leaving care?
I would tell them to definitely ask their PA or their social worker about 333, because I think it's like a really important place. Like if you're struggling, if you just want to get out of the house, if you need to go and talk to someone, you can go down there. There's always PAs in there. There's usually always young people in there. It's quite a nice, friendly space as well. So there's sofas where you can go and chill out. There is a bookshelf if you want to go and read. There's a TV with DVDs if you want to go and watch a movie or something, which is really nice. There's also a pool table. Can't forget about the pool table. So it's actually a pool table and a ping pong table and an air hockey table all in one.
Oh well, multifunctional.
So it's multifunctional, and it's really fun to play with people.
So if people, I say young people who are leaving care are a bit scared because they've kind of had that, what kind of advice would you give them?
I'd probably give them advice, like try not to freak out as much as you can. Because there is still support there. You still have a helping hand with your PA. It can be scary because you have so many people that you kind of depend on with support. Like you have social workers, you have your possible foster carers or supported lodgings carers. I know that it can be scary because I was like, I'm losing all these people and I'm only left with one person. I think with that you've got to remember that there is someone to talk to at the end of the phone, and you're not going to just be left alone to deal with the situation.
That's really helpful, isn't it, that you've had all these people supporting you. Don't want to suddenly that's it and it stops, does it?
No, that's the thing that I was more freaked out about when I turned 18. Like, I'm not going to have any support, I'm not going to have anyone to I can go to or speak to. Like, I'm just going to be dumped pretty much.
But you won't.
But I wasn't, so that's good.
That's excellent. That's really good. So what prejudice have you faced being a care leaver? Because we hear quite a lot that people think that there's a particular reason why people are in care. So what have you faced?
I faced a lot of stigma from pretty much the time I went into care, even to this day actually, about how I must have been naughty to be put into care. I use naughty in like quotation marks. Only the end of the week when I was talking to a friend, someone actually butted in on our conversation and said, how many times have you gone to prison then? And I was like, I've never been to prison. The only time I've been in a police station is when I've gone to visit it with like a scout. It's like, we're all different people. Like, we all have our individual stories. The fact that people in their everyday lives are thinking of people that are in foster care and who are care leavers must be these like evil monsters roaming around, pretty much stealing or stuff like that. So
and that's absolutely not true.
It's not true. No,
absolutely. That's really helpful. Thank you. What do you think about having that specific week for care leavers?
I love the idea of Care Leavers Week. I think it's a week where, as care leavers, we can celebrate kind of how far we've come in our lives from where we started. And I think it's a lovely idea to also spread the message into the local towns and stuff about National Care Leavers Week, because hopefully in the future as well it will kind of break the idea of the stigma about how care leavers are naughty, they're bad, that actually we are good, we want a career in whatever we want. We want to go to uni, we want to have a career in something, or just want to live a happy, healthy life with our families. Yeah,
as we all do. It's nothing different, is it?
No.
So what do you think it could achieve then?
So I hope that it might achieve the fact of like breaking down the stigma, like I said before. Also letting people understand that there's like also a difference between care leavers and young carers, because that's another thing that I've heard before as well, because they are kind of two different things. But also it'd be good for higher up, like maybe celebrities one day, to kind of say, hey, it's English National Care Leavers Week, say how are you to a care leaver that you know, or something like that.
They really get people understanding the importance of the work that people do for care leavers and your achievements.
Yeah, exactly.
Lovely. So how are you doing now? What are you up to?
So, like I said before, I'm back at college, doing access into science, hopefully going into zoology at uni. I have a wonderful job that I love, because I'm a wildlife researcher, which is what I want to go and do. So I want to be able to travel the world eventually as well, which will be lovely.
Excellent. So let's hope you achieve all of that. Any final message that you'd like to give for anybody who might be listening?
Probably want to say that if you are a care leaver, you guys are awesome. And if you're not a care leaver and you know someone who is, kind of just say hi, like, you guys are amazing, because we want to kind of break down the stereotypes that we are good people. At the end of the day, we're just human beings that didn't have a great start in life, but we are going far and beyond in possible expectations of us, which is amazingly awesome.
Well, you certainly are. I think you're proof of that, Ivy, definitely.
You.
And if people are listening and thinking about they might want to support a care leaver, like through supported lodgings or through foster care, what message might you give them?
Do it. That's what I'd say. Just do it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us today. It's been a real amazing adventure that you've kind of had in your life, and it's great to see you kind of going on to so much success. So thank you so much, Ivy.
Thank you.